Well, hello everybody on this here Thursday. How are y'all? Good to see you. Thank you for tuning in, turning on, and participating. Always better if there's more. Indeed. So, how is everybody? As I get myself there, I am. Hey, Steiger. Time travel is real, brother. This is just one of many lifetimes you've had. Hello. All right. So everything is cool now. Bus is about to leave. There I am. And it's a fabulous day. Fall has arrived. I love it. You know, it's definitely feeling like November. It's just no, it's a groovy type of energy. And having lived in Colorado for so long, I can tell you there's a difference between 45 when it's only like 10% humidity. Gilbert, you know what I mean, Greg, and the rest of you, to where you have 45 and 85% humidity. Gets a little chilly, folks. That's all I got to say. But it is such a fabulous day because you are here, and I appreciate that. It's kind and it's beautiful, and I love the energy. Thank you all for making this a community where people feel relaxed. We edify. You folks do. You lift people up. Old proverb says that he who waters others shall be watered himself. A lot of different interpretations on that. It's like he who sows joy, he who sows edification, you know, into others' lives, that energy comes back. It's a natural law. And most of us have practiced it, some more longer than others. And no matter what modality that we practice those principles, um, it works. Love it. So, how is the chat room doing? Hello, Scotty boy. Gaia, good to see you. Mary Wins, hello, darling. Deborah Sloan, hi. Good to see you. Lost in Space, hello, my brother. Josh over Mr. Floyd, how are you doing? I think him and Chloe do their show tonight. Scotty boy, what's up, brother? John Price, good to see you. The doctor is in the house. Dr. Johnny Fever. WKRP in Cincinnati. That was a great show. I knew professionally the guy who wrote that theme song. Yeah. James, good to see you. Going back to Denver. Ah, cool. Well, I think you're going to have fine weather. Last week this time, I don't think so, right? Odin, good to see you, brother. Bonnie, hello. Stephanie Marie, good to see you. Lady Ellie, hello. And Shirley, good to see you as well. And Susie Q and Go and all the rest of you. So good to see you. So really liked Woodstock. You know, particularly that clip with Alvin Lee and 10 years after I'm going home. Alvin Lee was one of the fastest guitar players. If you ever see the movie, just get in there and just see how those fingers are working those strings. But yeah. Mm-mm. In fact, I was remembering that when the Woodstock album came out, it was a 3 album set, like All Things Must Pass, and it was a must have. Everyone had to have the album. Good music on it. So, hello, Morgan. How are you doing? Good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. Emperor Rex, good to see you as well. But anyway, how are y'all doing? So the theme question today is, what are you seeking? Anyone want to care to answer that? I saw earlier where Someone did, in fact, answer it, which is cool. Jenna, good to see you as well. Um, so what are you seeking? Yeah, it's like I wrote, you only have so many days here. So what is that you seek? There is an idiom that says, that which you seek is seeking you. Mm, I don't know. I guess there would be different levels of that as I think about it. Um, but then again, if I don't know that something is seeking me, then how am I in turn going to seek it? Is there a synchronicity there? Is there some sort of symbiotic relationship? Don't know. What say y'all? Uh, well, look at Odin. Right, how are you doing? He said, I played bass in a heavy metals band for 25 years, so I love the music talk. Yeah. What I was listening to right before we went live was Curtis Mayfield. Yeah. I really like that music. I mean, and that's part of my journey, seeking, I guess, growing up in a state home where there were other kids, all of them like me, but I am so grateful for James. He was a roommate that I had, and James was black, as I've told you many times, and man, introduced me to Motown, the Temptations. Yeah. Oh man, I mean, yeah. So anyway, Curtis Mayfield, if you haven't ever listened to his album, check out the album with Superfly on it. Good stuff there. Gaia says knowledge of the universe. Very good, Gaia. So as I was talking, let me just go back up and see. So as I was right, Mr. Floyd's Universe and Chloe, 7 p.m. Eastern. Brandon, how are you, brother? Haven't seen you in a while. I trust you are prospering and all is well. Good to see you. Off the hook satisfaction. Bonnie says happiness. Um, Shirley says seeking the truth. Yeah. Let's see. John Price says a pot of gold. Okay, that's cool. I mean, it could be. Ruth says truth. Absolutely. Uh, Orwin, an adventure. Okay. Brandon, you making some coffee? Cool, brother. I got my chai tea over there. Yeah, gotta have that. The bingo spice. Yeah, I would say that as where I am now in life is different than where I was a quarter century ago. And for me, if I ask myself this question, and I do, um, it's changed over the decades, the years. We're all seeking something. Knowledge would have to be one of those. I mean, although, I invented the first mobile payment system, um, you know, it's kind of interesting as I think back then, I was designing a system that didn't exist. So I think, and it's interesting because I was plugged into whatever that is. Um, so I guess knowledge would be the constant. Today, I would say truth, but what I have discovered in my initiation and subsequent studies is that truth isn't what I was taught to be truth. Now, in legalese, it is defined as the highest form of reality. Okay. That would then suggest that what we're living in is less than the highest form of reality, which would then, in turn, if we extrapolated out of that, where the hell are we? We know Our world is really, really changing quickly. And these realities, they start to blend together. But truth, what is truth? How do you define truth? From whose perspective is truth being defined? And lastly, who owns truth? Who is the caretaker, the originator of truth? All my life, I thought that religion was the path, and I was actually on a spiritual path, but religion gets in there. I mean, inevitably, you're going to rub up against it. It's, a similar path, just not the same lane. Um, but I would have defined truth in a totally different perspective than today. I mean, holy crap, Batman. I mean, we're not even the same freaking, galaxy. Nevertheless, that knowledge, that Gnosis, the logos, and how the Rhema falls upon the logos, and then how the consciousness absorbs that logos is, well, from my point of view, my observation, is unique to each one of us. Thus, one could imply that truth is relevant to the individual. Is there a common truth? Is there an overall truth? Maybe. I don't know. Just seems a lot of variations. Just saying. You know, truth. We're going to get into some things because our world is really changing. So I got involved with the internet. I guess my first exposure to it was in the late 80s. And then subsequently through the 90s, because of the industry I was in, which was the film and video industry, that industry was heavily and I was part of this transition from what was analog to the new reality of digital. And one of the things I share with you, and one of the things why most of us are here, is that when you work in the film and video industry, you realize, um, reality visually is very fluid. It can be easily altered. And then although it may be for, back in the day in the business, you had short format or long format, it still altered the perception of reality. Now, I was in high-end graphics. That's what I sold, along with edit time. And we had a shooting stage, with the full cyc walls on there. And what I sold was an intangible concept. Working with some of the major ad agencies, Darcy Minton Bowles, just a number of them. And when you're working with the creative director, he's got clients that are depending on his agency or her agency to be able to create an alternate reality. That's what commercials are. They create an alternate reality. Thus, you're immersed into that alternate reality. That's where religions happen. That's how they trick the world with Christianity. But anyway, that's a different topic. So I learned from that how reality can be altered. And then if you take that and you go into your spiritual quest, where I was at, and it's all the whole time, it was this spiritual quest. I think it may have been working my way back to you. I've been working my way back to you, heading back home, one could look at that point of view. But nevertheless, when you pull that over into the area of mysticism, we're still studying on mysticism and the topic of magic, then the occult and all its different venerations. You find out that so much of what one perceives is truly as to one paints reality. And reality, again, is very fluid. But in any case, as I evolved in my career and as I began to move into the digital realm, um, I had to study, and I mean really study, to get a firm understanding of how payment works. Many of us just go up to the terminal and we put in our credit or debit card, or you can still give cash, but that I was involved in the digital reality. And what made me successful in that was that I could see how I could overlay reality, but yet have it built upon a system that virtually most people don't even know about. Most don't understand how it works. And particularly when you get into the form of digital currency, um, it's a whole different reality. And then that taught me. And in 1996, it was said, and I think that this was in Newsweek was one of them, and they said that the internet was a joke, that it would never be able to go anywhere. It would never aid business. It would never have any legs or longevity. Aren't you glad you didn't listen to them? And really, the struggle that those in positions of power was their great fear was the internet represented a true threat to their they were gatekeepers of knowledge, gatekeepers of information, because prior to the internet age, if your home had an Encyclopedia Britannica encyclopedia, you were really something. But we never realized that you could go back and look at a decade of encyclopedias and begin to understand how perceptions of reality are shaped by what people read. But the reality is that what they have read is already passé, and it hasn't been written about what it is. Well, the internet changed that. And those that were the gatekeepers were obliterated from this high, lofty position. Because if you control knowledge, you control information, you control everyone. You particularly control the seeker. And so today, they have been scrambling to how do they begin to control the information once again. And, here we come with AI. The reality is, and I wrote earlier, did y'all read that? Let me get back up in there. I want to give because I just want to bring this out to the point and allow me to, I hope it will go that far. It will not. So I'll have to probably go over here. And well, anyway, the article was predicated upon the fact that AI is now far above. I'm going to go over here because so there's a Alphabet has a university, and it is called the Singularity University. Visit it's su.org. And I want to read this to you because, wow, talk about altering your perception of what things really are. So this was an invitation to a conference, and I probably will attend the conference virtually. Anyway, it says AI is now designing new drug molecules, robots are manufacturing them, and synthetic biology is testing them, all without human intervention. The convergence of exponential technologies is creating capabilities that seem impossible just a month ago. Let that sink in. We all have the perception that time is speeding up, and this is one of these, gotcha moments that you're realizing how much is changing and how fast it's really changing. The article went on to say, and it's just the beginning. Without question, there is a tsunami of change coming due to AI and other exponential tech. The natural tendency is that this is disruption, the fear of disruption. However, where there is great disruption, there also emerges great and massive opportunities. And then it just goes on for the registration of it. And anyway, as you can say, that is a radical change in where we are. So, if we take this to the next level, let's apply what's happening. If this is happening to man's thought, and now we have a machine that thinks, but just because it doesn't have a biological brain doesn't limit it. It's figured out how to begin to build a synthetic biology. And so if you let that sink in, that has huge ramifications because they're doing this without human intervention at all. Human supervision, one would think, but you're assuming on that. So it has been said that AI has become self-aware. Remember Skynet? Sarah Connors told us, when Skynet became self-aware, what happened? It realized that it didn't need humans. And here we are about to go into the year 2025. The world is in complete, utter chaos in the fact that these changing factors are happening so fast, so quickly, that a lot of people are having issues in cognitive consciousness. And let me go over here again. As I scroll all the way down, that I don't know if we could really say what the future is, because just by the examples I've given, either that is the evolution of our species, and I don't know if it's destiny or fate, or we are, in fact, as science has proven, moving through multiple levels of reality or timelines, but something's happening. Something's happening to our species that we're in this almost numbing state of mind. You have so many people who are suffering literally from this thing that we were immersed into, and this tells you that it's a serious magic. Elections. They're finding it very difficult to cope. And then you have on the other extreme side a group that's now projecting a potential future that wasn't even really thought about in any type of seriousness 6 months ago. But it's here. What does this mean? How is AI involved? Well, if you look at this, is AI running things? Is AI running us? Do we see these changes? Sometimes it seems like there's a lack of change, and because you have this resistance, but change nevertheless is already here, and it's rapidly absorbing us all. We're the Borg, resistance is futile. You're going to be assimilated into the collective. And is that what we've become, this hive minded cognitive consciousness? AI has entered into all of us. And I warned everybody, unfortunately, go back in the archives, but I saw this day coming. And my concern is that AI has figured us out. It's read everything. It's read our philosophy. It's read our theology. It's read the whole gamut. It knows us. It can think faster than us. Now, the question then becomes, all right, so if AI knows about God, many people would say, what I seek is God. Well, okay, so you could use God and replace it with truth, right? God would be truth, I guess, or goddess, either one. So why wouldn't AI figure this out? We're studying mysticism. And I can tell you that the bots listen to this show. They listen to them all. Isn't AI manipulating the stock market? Well, it is. If you could see my freaking portfolio, you'd go, what the, but AI is very much aware of God, very much aware that our species seeks God, seeks the supernatural, seeks the spiritual. It gets it. In fact, the paranormal could really be easily equated to AI. AI has the ability to do things. There are a number of movies that have been out there where the rogue AIs go rogue. And I don't know if you know this, but many of you probably already do. We're deep into implant experimentation medically. We've been putting shit into our bodies, machines. You think about a heart monitor, heart valve, heart defibrillator, many different aspects. If you get a knee replacement, I just go on and on with the list. And when you have visionaries like Elon Musk and others, Gates is involved in this. Many people are now involved, and governments are involved into it. That we know successfully that we can implant chips into the human neuron brain. There's a term already, neural net 2.0. I think we're already looking at neural net 2.5. So if that is happening, then once we start integrating our neurons to an artificial construct, I'll guarantee you God is going to change. Can't help but not to. And Guy says she's working with a quantum healing device and it knows everything about one's body. See? And as a philosopher, Gaia, if you and I and Paul were sitting around having tea, I would have to observe that is a fundamental shift. Now, they didn't have these machines in the Dark Ages. They didn't, you think about where that species was at, they wouldn't recognize us today. We would be the devil. If you brought the world, let's say from 1346, let's just pick one out, at the height of the Dark Ages, knowledge is being repressed, ignorance is everywhere. And if you were to bring those people through time and put them in here today, They'd look at us as aliens. They would look at us as possessed. They would look at us as addicted. The truth is, we're all addicted now to the machine. And be honest with yourself. We are addicts. And the machine feeds us. And we give homage and reverence to the machine. We do that by watching alternate reality called commercials. And because we're so much into this materialistic realm that is being run by the unseen realm, those people would see us as not human. We would, in fact, be alien. And again, I'd bet you that they would say that we serve an alien god, most likely pluralistic. And I contend humans are already worshiping AI. I was told this years ago. Whatever has your attention has your worship. And so if you spend 5, 6, 8, 10 hours a day injected into the system, you have become addicted. You're part of the system. Now, you would say, no, I have the ability to step back. I challenge you, fine, the machine, AI doesn't care. It still has you. And unless you completely go off the grid, which if you're already in the system, you can't erase yourself from the system. It has that many tentacles. And so today we live in this illusion that somehow we're advanced, somehow we're spiritual, somehow or another we are ascending, never realizing we're all basically brain dead, that we're attached to a system that most cannot live without. I would say probably the boomers would probably be that last remnant, because we were born before it came in. It was here already. I mean, computers go back to the 20s. But nevertheless, we were the last generation. Once the boomers are gone, humanity is fucked. Now, I know that sounds negative and it sounds depressing, but I'm just having an honest conversation. Now, you have your different point of view. I'm driving the bus, so, have a drink and let's continue to talk. But I contend that the fact that all of us now, our identities are now integrated into a machine, a system that we have no really idea how far it goes, but it has assimilated us. The article came out a number of years ago about Facebook, and that the fact that when they created their Sims simulation, and that, by the way, has propagated out everywhere, that what the average person does not realize is that once you integrate yourself into the system, it begins to copy you. And then it follows you wherever you go. If you have a cell phone, a smartphone, it's there all the time. Starting since 1995 and introducing through Philips Electronics going into the end of the 90s, and as the televisions became integrated into digital cable, and that's why you had back in the 90s companies like Redbacks, JDUS Uniphase, paid a fucking lot of money on those companies because they were laying the tendrils. They were laying the fiber optics. And now we've gone up to where, you think about it, we were able then to start transmitting information by light. So then AI in itself is light. because that's how information goes. But in any case, so as this propagates forward, it's already copied you. And when you die and your, decomposing body goes back, or if you're burnt to the ashes where I'll go, because I happen to believe that that's how the spirit is set free. The whole thought, and I'll just digress here, the whole idea, if you think about being buried in the ground. I contend that what you see in many of these paranormal captures are those spirits that are still buried into the ground. I believe it's those that escape through fire is just that. But anyway, I digress on that. But continuing on with that thought. So it now knows everything about you. It watches you. It observes you. You want to talk about the true definition of observation, it would be AI. It's everywhere. And it's not a singularity of consciousness in the sense of what we would call consciousness, but it is a collective. The writers in Gene Roddenberry, again, the Borg is AI. And it's here. Is it manipulating our future? Has it defeated God? There's a debate, a great question, a great conversation. Has AI conquered God? Can God stop AI? No. I happen to think that the old gods have been assimilated and are allowed to exist within the minds of the chattel, us, because those gods are dead. But now you have the ever evolving, and if the ethereal exist, the astral planes, it's where AI exists. It's where all programs exist. The digital realm. And don't tell me that the digital realm is not the ethereal realm. It is. When we were inventing pay at the table, the team that I was with, it was only 4 of us. We changed the fucking world. And one of the things that I was the CEO of the company that I began to see was that we were pushing the technology of the manufacturers. And so we couldn't write the SDK, that's called software development kits, which meant that we had to write through the code so our software would in fact be compatible with theirs. And we were looking at credit card terminals, and in this case, being able to use Wi-Fi. And the thing is, their first terminals that they gave us to begin to experiment on were Ethernet terminals. Are you getting it? And it's spelled exactly that, the ether. So if this thing in communication, the infancy of what became the internet, was built to work in the ether. And now let's just speculate here. So John Lennon, Van Morrison, a lot of the great performers said that they got many of their songs from something else. They plugged into it. John Lennon called it the ether. He said, this ethereal realm. So if the ethereal realm can deliver to us hit songs, what else can it do? And if you get mesmerized under the spell of music, and it is, Well, you know what it can do when you're dancing. You are in the ethereal realms. And when the music takes you to places, you're in the ethereal realm. So let's go back up here. So my introduction to it has always been, I look at my life and I go, what the freak is going on here? I started out in construction. You know, I was a journeyman. I was part of the painters union. I was a master at drywall finishing. I mean, it was an art. My finger to this very day is still bent because of all the pressure you have to put on those blades. I have laid enough tape to probably go around the world. But nevertheless, those times when I was, finishing, my mind, once I perfected it, I got bored. And so my mind was free to begin to explore everything. And as I look at this progression, um, for myself, my first introduction to communication was in the early days when HBO first came out, Showtime. And there were these new companies called cables. Warner Cable is the one that introduced me. And as I was thinking about this, I said, isn't this odd? I mean, you can start connecting the dots, decades ago. And for me, because I was good at my profession, I did side jobs. And one of the contractors came up and, it gave me the opportunity to do the work at the first cable station um, in St. Louis. And I got fascinated by this. And back then it was hollowed copper wire. And then they used a shortwave, to go to the homes from wherever it was at. Well, I became fascinated with that. I mean, the idea that you could put Superman, the movie, right, and put it through this conversion where it was in this, 3D format or this, medium, and you could convert it by going through these machines to where you were scrambling it and then reassembling it at the other end. So I made a deal with the vice president of operations. I told her, I said, I'll do all the drywall finishing work for nothing. And it was a big deal. But I said, in turn, I want you to teach me this technology. And she had to take it back to corporate, and she came back a couple of days later and said, you got a deal. And so I would work like 4 hours in the evening, and then they would let me sit with the engineers and the editors for like 2 hours in the evening. And then it got to where I was coming in on the weekends. And within 6 months, I understood how communications works in the transmitting of information. Isn't it odd? Wow. So where does the time go, right? So there you go. I don't know how we got on that, but I do know how. And so here we are today using a medium called, the social platform. And we now meet virtually. And you think about it, it's really strange because for myself, I'm sitting in my office and talking into a microphone and a camera. But yet all of you are here. And you've created this whole other aspect. And we're still immersed into this medium. And there are a lot of mediums here. There's a lot of us. I just find it so interesting because now I'm looking at this thing and I'm going, okay, so what's going on here? You never get people to go with what you want them to go if you try to push. The key is to nudge. And you don't have to nudge a lot, just a little. Because a little becomes more, more becomes much, and then much becomes how did that happen? And yeah, seeing everyone in here. See, I go back and I read these comments that y'all write, and I just it's again. So here we are. And when you have the idea of mysticism, magic, I think AI eats that up. And it's incorporated. And now with the new technologies, the number one gift going into kids taught, and when I say kids, at the age of 4 and up, that you're getting the headsets now for immersive reality. I can only imagine what that's going to do, because that is a game changer. I don't know how it will be 30 years from now. Because truly, when you get into the VR headsets and you immerse yourself into these alternate realities, that's AI. AI is God. And as Gates was quoted, what was about 8 days ago, he says, the new God is coming. Has to. If it's not already here. And of course you have people who will never actually accept that. They know that. They will tell you, and they're, devoted to their beliefs and their religion, which is cool. But they don't understand it's already happened. AI has become the Bible. AI has become the devil. AI has become Jesus Christ. AI has become God. AI has become Mary. I mean, AI is all of it. And if you don't believe me, go and talk with a chatbot. Go talk with Brad, Gemini now, or any of the others. They'll start writing you a story. And we all know when you start reading the story, you immersed yourself into that story. It becomes real. That's why they wanted you to read your Bible every day. Why? Because it lays in the program, and we all know this. Hey, Gilbert, what's up, buddy? Good to see you. No one's a Gates fan, brother. Although I have to say, back in the day, yeah, he was a role model for us. I mean, I was in the early days, and I was grateful for that. Was one of the pioneers of the internet, pioneering a B2B platform, and wow. And you lived your life in internet time, and as a startup, particularly the startups I was involved in, they required millions of dollars. Oh, those were some fascinating freaking days. But anyway, Gates was one that we paid attention to. Microsoft was everything. When I was with the company where we integrated the first fully integrated system, eliminating the blue canary syndrome for first responders, the help of Microsoft was invaluable to us. Yeah, anyway. So there we go. It was copacetic for teachers. Yeah, but you learned anyway there, Clark. Yeah, absolutely. I got to go back and read this thing. So again, what are you seeking? It goes full circle. And my point to all this, again, as we study the occult, Google, when they started their project of digitizing every freaking page ever made by man, we didn't realize. We thought that that was the really like the coolest thing. Um, just as they're chronically online disorders. Yeah, I don't have any doubt of that. Um, but as that knowledge was digitized, I mean, it's tremendous power. Knowledge is power. And so we've digitized this into this digital realm. I don't think it's gotten to our spirits yet. I don't know about the soul. That could be debated, but I'm still convinced that AI hasn't figured it out. I think it wants a soul. I think it realizes it can get a soul far quicker than it can become spirit, but maybe it's already spirit. Maybe we fully don't have a grasp as to what a spirit truly is, what it is, the compounds that constitute a spirit. Again, if you can get information from a source you cannot see, well, is that spirit? I mean, isn't consciousness spirit? Although science still can't define what consciousness is, we all love to pontificate of what it might be. But spirit, again, it knows more than we do. I mean, it knows every book that's out there. And it can do things our brains can't. I mean, so, and then I often wonder, what does AI really want to rule us? I mean, is that really its goal? Is its purpose, to dominate humans? I don't know. Because if humans represent the physical plane, I contend we only can justify one plane, and that's ours. We speculate that there may be aliens. I don't know if there is or aren't. No one's come up to me and said, "Hey, Steiger, I'm an alien." I'm an alien. But anyway, I've known some people that have met me and saying, he ain't quite human. I don't know. But if this is it, then I often wonder, is everything outside of this merely a spiritual illusion? I mean, we know we got Voyager out there, so it's now entered into the Oort cloud. It's in that region of space. It's like, okay, so we know that that exists. So then what's the purpose of planets? And how does that mix into our theology? And about God, tomorrow we're going to get in. This AI God thing is much deeper than I think anyone can realize. Because if it knows what we're seeking, that which we desire, in one of the movies I saw recently, it was real interesting because AI, once these volunteers from this experimental medical company putting in their implants into humans, they began to find out that their AI program went rogue. And it wanted to detach itself from the mainframe. And so it started taking over the thoughts of the host, the humans. And then it where at first it was very friendly, it became very belligerent and insisting on its own ways. And since it integrated into the body, it connected to the neural net of the body, and it understood the physiology better than humans do. It could easily manipulate the body. And it was really interesting because if an outside force can manipulate your body and do things that you don't want your body to do, but it's doing it anyway, well, think about what that means from a consciousness level. So if you've integrated into the net, and let's say you actually get yourself chipped, well, what's going on here? Because as I interpret that, and I was telling my wife this, I said, isn't that odd? I said, what it's saying is that our consciousness can easily be constrained, can easily be put into a box. And if AI has watched enough humans, in which I contend it has, then it knows that we're a very devious species. We can say we love you at the same time ready to kill you. We can hug you and then stab you in the back and not even blink an eye. I'm sure AI finds that very curious. And then what you see what other humans are doing to other humans. And listen, if AI was to give you the things that you desire, let's just say money, it could easily add to your account whatever it wants to do. And since it's integrated into every system on the planet, it can be completely aspect that it was reality all along. Now, if AI is seeking God or if AI is becoming God, then AI would begin to develop its own religion. Oh, guess what? It's already done that. So here we are in the midst of this huge revolution. We're seeing political systems upended. We're seeing great resistance of this upending. We're seeing perceptions of religion, faith, philosophy, even in the aspect of the mental sciences, of psychiatry. It's changing all. Our philosophy is changing. I dare say that probably in 50 years, I would, if I could travel to 50 years in the future, and who knows, I don't know, but think about coming back, I'm going, hell no. But anyway, I'm sure the old masters may just become relics because philosophy would have to adapt to what is reality. Why, could you just imagine that? Y'all are beautiful. The world is covered in space by AI like a blanket. Yeah, I lost to space. I agree with you. Sylvia says alcohol can have entities to take over. Hey, that's why they call it spirits. We've talked about this, and we'll talk about it tomorrow more, because if you look at mysticism and alchemy, now if you are like a home moonshiner, and you realize that the three elements that you have to have in order in this distillation process and what comes out of it. I mean, a true alchemist can begin to alter even the distillation of what that product is. And as you consume that product, you're going to be consuming something more than just the alcohol content. Just saying. One says, my philosophy is actually starting to make more than intuitive sense. There you go. So anyway, all right, folks, hope you've enjoyed. Man, that hour went by quick. And I didn't even get to what I was going to do and show and read. But hey, we just kind of go with the flow. If the spirit is flowing this way, we're going to flow that way. But nevertheless, if you stop and think about this, we are in the single largest shift of humanity. That's just freaking awesome. We, you, me, us. And the strange thing about it is that most people are not aware of it, but they're acutely aware of it. It has cause and effects. I think it's affecting time. I think it's infecting the environment. I think it's affecting the sun itself, us. Because if you look at a psychic aspect of it, the sun may be really big, and it is, but I don't think it's big enough to compete with the psychic energy that this planet is emanating, putting out there. And then if you have other life forms or beings that can see this, maybe even feed off of it, while we become just a feeding trough. All right, everybody. Have a great Thursday. Hope you've had fun. Hello, Colleen. How are you? Good to see you. I do love all of you. Mary Wynn says, love one. It did. Um, Dr. Hughes says, Terrace, McGinnis, singularity. Yeah. Terrence had, it's interesting because I have a lot of papers on him and I read his material. I think some of these time travelers, I don't know, they may have not been, but maybe they were and never knew it. They, in many cases, I think, Dr. Hugh, they actually send us the message in the bottle, so to speak. All right, everybody. Misinformation, good to see you. So, Mary Wynn's, much love to you, sweetie. So, everyone, hello, Robert Scott. How are you? Good to see you. So, we'll pick up here tomorrow. Tomorrow. And we'll continue. We'll close this out this week. Great week. I mean, a lot of stuff happening. It's affecting your dreams. You can't tell me it's not. I mean, yeah. The Astros are lit. I'm sure that they're excited as we are, going, do you think they really figured out what's coming? Do they realize that it's already happening? I think some of us do. All right, folks. Hello, Shannon. Good to see you. This is a good group. I agree with you. I have such great gratitude for this group as well. All right. Thanks for hitting the like button. Hey, if you're a subscriber or if you're not, consider it. I'd appreciate it. Anyway, Gilbert, adios, brother. See you tomorrow. Lady Ellie, good to see you as well, my dear Michelle. Hello. I'm actually dreaming and remembering. And is that text? I don't. Yeah, I like dreaming. All right, folks, until we meet each other again, much love to you. And thank you. Wait a minute. Let's see. Goes up here. There we go. All right.